Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about grading Pokemon cards. There are a few reasons why you might want to get a card graded. Maybe you want to increase the monetary value of the card, or maybe you want to protect the card because it has sentimental value. Personally, I just love the look of a card in a slab. I've had a few cards graded with GameStop's PSA service, and if you want to know more about my experience with that process, please let me know in the comments. However, the first time I decided to grade cards, I made some mistakes. Honestly, these might seem like some pretty obvious mistakes, but if you're new to grading, then hopefully I can save you some trouble. So here are 6 lessons I learned from my first 6 graded cards. Our first lesson comes from the 2024 Trick or Treat Gengar in a 9. This is the card that got me interested in grading. I bought the Trick or Trade pack for $12, and then I figured out that this Gengar in a PSA 10 could go for $80 at the time. I thought that if this could make a 10, then it would cover not only the cost of the pack, but also the cost of the grading and allow me to supplement my hobby. However, a 9 doesn't allow that. It's kind of weird how the price of this card fluctuates. Today the card is valued around $15, but a month ago it was valued around $7. So the lesson here is that while you can make money grading cards, you can also lose money if you're not careful. Luckily, I love Gengar as a Pokemon and I love the art on this card. Just look at that face. Our second lesson comes from Prismatic Evolutions Eevee's SIR in a 9. I managed to grab the binder collection the day it came out at Target, which is actually a crazy experience trying to get that binder, but I was lucky enough to get it and even luckier to pull this Eevee. I sent this card in for grading the very next day and learned the painful lesson that Pack Fresh does not equal a 10. Looking at this card, for example, you can see that the top and right borders are heavy when compared to the left and the bottom. So when you get a card, really look it over. Check the borders as well as the corners for whitening and any other miscellaneous printing dots and scratches because they can be found coming straight out of the pack. Our third lesson comes from Prismatic Evolutions Vaporeon EX in a 9. This might seem like the most obvious lesson, but take pictures of your cards before you send them off for grading. Make sure the card is not on a top loader, card saver, or penny sleeve when you take the picture and put it on a dark background. This way, if a card comes back lower than you thought it should, you have something to compare it to. Also, embarrassingly, I had forgotten that I sent this card in and was happy to have a picture to remind me that, yes, this is the card I sent in. Fourth lesson is brought to you by Prismatic's Rayfort Full Art, once again in a 9. I apologize if I'm butchering the pronunciation of that name. The lesson here is think about how the card will age. What I mean is this card going to be popular years from now? Take the previous Vaporeon for an example. The NEX card isn't the most valuable card, but Vaporeon is a pretty popular Pokemon. If I ever decide to sell the card, I might not make a profit, but I will probably find someone interested in the card because it is Vaporeon. Meanwhile, I have played Pokemon Violet, and I'll admit I didn't spend much time in the academy, but I don't remember who this teacher was or what they taught. I don't have anything against them, but I'm not sure if the card will hold its value. I guess time will tell. The fifth lesson is brought to you by Prismatic's Reverse Holo Pokeball Houndour in a 9. This is probably the card I regret grading most. I had just gotten back into the hobby at the time, and Prismatic was the first English set to my knowledge that had reverse holo Pokeballs. And at the time, the card was going for $10 raw, which was because it had just came out of a brand new set and prices hadn't settled yet. This was just a bad call, and even the GameStop employee at the time was asking me why I was grading this. Also, going back to previous lessons, I forgot to take pictures of this card, and I don't remember the corners being damaged like this when I sent them out. They probably were, but I have no way of comparing them. So again, check your cards for damages, take pictures, remember not everything Pack Fresh is a 10, and do your research. Basically, every lesson we went over so far applies to this card. Last card, last lesson. The last card I sent in was 2004's Pop Series 1 Holo Tyranitar EX in an 8. Despite this one having the lowest grade, this is probably the card I'm most proud of. With this being my first time grading, I sent this in because I wanted to see how harsh they would be with grading cards. Unlike a lot of cards where a 9 is basically the same value as raw, this card had some wiggle room where a 5 would basically be the same price as raw. I originally guessed that this was likely going to come back as a 6, maybe bordering on a 7. I would not have even been surprised if it had came back as a 5. So imagine my surprise when it came back as an 8. Value went from $36 to $170. Always self-grade your cards and be as harsh as you can on them. Since this experience, I've had cards I sent in expecting a 9 and I got 10s. I've sent in cards I've expected getting 10s, getting 9s. Really, the lesson here is that sometimes you'll be surprised with the result, hopefully for the better. So those are all the lessons I learned from my first time grading. If you have any tips or tricks for grading cards, leave them in the comments. If you like this video and want to see another one like it in the future, please let me know, and please give the video a like because why not?